67 days after 7 B-2 stealth bombers tore the roof off Iran's nuclear program. Secretary of State Marco Rubio just walked up to a microphone and said the words, "Tehran has been begging to hear for 2 months. Operation Epic Fury is over." But before Iran's new Supreme Leader could even finish his sigh of relief, President Donald Trump did something that turned that relief into pure panic. He paused Project Freedom, the Navy mission opening the Strait of Hormuz, and he kept the naval blockade on Iranian ports locked in place. So the bombs stop, the escort ships stop, but the noose around the Islamic Republic's neck stays exactly where it is. What just happened on May 5th wasn't a peace deal. It wasn't a retreat. It was something far more dangerous for the regime in Tehran. And in the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly what Trump just set up, why Pakistan is now the most powerful country at this negotiating table, and why Iran's threat that they have not even begun yet just became the emptiest word spoken in the Middle East all year. Now let's start with what actually happened. On Tuesday, May 5th, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane walked into the Pentagon briefing room and made it official. According to CNN's reporting on May 5th, Hegseth told reporters that Project Freedom is, in his exact words, separate and distinct from Operation Epic Fury, and that the new operation is defensive in nature, focused in scope, and temporary in duration. That last word is the one that matters: temporary. Because just hours earlier, NPR reported that Trump had signed off on a temporary pause of Project Freedom itself only 1 day after he launched it. The reason, according to the president's own statement, was a request from Pakistan and other countries, the massive military success of the U.S. campaign against Iran, and major progress toward a comprehensive final deal with Iran. So, let's translate that out of diplomatic language. The strongest country mediating between Washington and Tehran, Pakistan, has asked for breathing room, and Trump is giving it to them. But here's the part Tehran does not want you to focus on. The blockade on Iranian ports is still in effect. Right now, as we're recording this, U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers, more than 100 land and sea-based aircraft, and roughly 15,000 American service members are still wrapped around Iran's coastline like a steel collar. According to Military.com's reporting on the same day, 6 ships that tried to violate the blockade of Iranian ports were all turned around. 6 in a single day. And that brings us to the most important number in this entire story. According to Wikipedia's tracking of the campaign, Trump announced in April that the U.S. military destroyed 158 Iranian naval vessels, every single Iranian submarine, sunk. Over 150 surface warships across 16 different classes of the Iranian Navy, gone. The Iranian Navy, in the president's own words, was annihilated. So when Iran's chief negotiator Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf gets on television and warns we have not even begun yet, just remember what they're saying that with: a handful of fast attack craft, some surviving anti-ship missiles, and a parliament speaker who's running out of options faster than the regime can spin them. But that's just the beginning, because the real story isn't what Iran lost during Operation Epic Fury. It's what they're about to lose during the pause that came after. So let's get into the analysis. There are 3 things happening simultaneously right now, and each one is a different kind of nightmare for the Ayatollah's regime. The first scenario is the one Tehran is most afraid of, and it's the one Trump is quietly running right now. Call it the slow strangle play. Operation Epic Fury, launched on February 28, 2026, was the loudest, most violent military operation the United States has executed in the Middle East since 2003. According to the Department of War's own fact sheet, in the first 10 days alone, U.S. and partner forces struck over 5,000 targets. They damaged or destroyed 50 Iranian vessels. They deployed B-1 bombers, B-2 stealth bombers, B-52 strategic bombers, Lucas drones, Patriot interceptors, and THAAD anti-ballistic missile systems. The opening salvo, according to Britannica, took out the heart of the Iranian regime, Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei himself, decapitated in the first hours. Now here's the question every analyst at the Center for Strategic and International Studies and the Council on Foreign Relations has been asking. If Epic Fury was the hammer, what comes after the hammer? The answer is the vice. The naval blockade is the vice. According to Al Jazeera's reporting on May 5th, Iran has effectively sealed off the Strait by threatening to deploy mines, drones, missiles, and fast attack craft. The U.S. has countered by blockading Iranian ports and mounting escorted transits for commercial vessels. So while Tehran tells its own people that they are still in control of the Strait of Hormuz, The reality is that Iranian oil is sitting in Iranian ports going nowhere. Not to China, not to Russia, not to anyone. And every day that blockade stays in place, the regime in Tehran is bleeding billions of dollars in lost revenue while still paying for an army of Revolutionary Guards, a missile program, and a proxy network across 7 countries. This is what the Pentagon means when it says they're locked, loaded, and ready to go. They don't have to fire another missile. They just have to wait. Now let's move on to the second scenario, and this is where Pakistan enters the picture in a way most viewers have completely missed. Trump's statement specifically named Pakistan first in the list of countries that requested the pause. That is not an accident. According to CNN's reporting, Pakistan has become a crucial mediator in peace talks between Iran and the United States during the war, with diplomats from both countries meeting in Islamabad for face-to-face talks last month, even though they were unable to reach an agreement. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif posted publicly on X on May 5th, calling on both sides to uphold and respect the ceasefire to allow necessary diplomatic space for dialogue leading to enduring peace. Translation: Islamabad just told Tehran, take this deal or we walk away. And Iran cannot afford for Pakistan to walk away. Why? Because every other potential mediator has either turned hostile or gone silent. Pakistan is quite literally the last open phone line between the Islamic Republic and the rest of the world. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi was set to travel to China on the same day to push Beijing to do something anything but. According to the same CNN report, Beijing is nowhere near offering Tehran the kind of guarantees they need. So, what we could see in the coming weeks is a crash negotiation run through Islamabad in which Iran is asked to surrender 3 things it has spent 40 years building: their uranium enrichment program, their ballistic missile arsenal, and their proxy networks. That's the price. And the alternative, if they refuse, is the third scenario, the one that ends the regime. But before we get to that, this is a quick reminder that if you want the full picture and not just the headlines, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this story is moving by the hour and we are tracking every angle. We bring you the analysis cable news doesn't have time for. So make sure you don't miss the next breakdown. And that brings us to the third and perhaps most dangerous possibility. Because while Trump is publicly talking about a comprehensive final deal with Iran, the United States and Israel are quietly preparing for what happens if the deal falls apart. According to CNN's reporting from May 5th, Israel is coordinating with the U.S. as escalating tensions in the Strait of Hormuz have put the Iran ceasefire at risk. The coordination, an Israeli source told CNN, includes preparation for a potential new round of strikes on Iran, focused on energy infrastructure, and the targeted killing of senior Iranian officials. Most of these plans were largely prepared and ready for execution on the eve of the ceasefire in early April. Read that again. Ready for execution. On the shelf. Preloaded. The Israelis aren't planning new strikes. They're keeping the existing strike package warm. So, what does this mean? It means that Trump's pause of Project Freedom is not generosity. It's a clock. He's giving Tehran through Pakistan a window. Take the deal. Or watch what comes next. And what comes next is brutal. Because the U.S. and Israeli arsenal still inside the strike package includes something most viewers don't realize is sitting in CENTCOM right now. According to Wikipedia's tracking of the war in March 2026, the U.S. dropped 5,000-pound bunker-buster bombs on hardened Iranian anti-ship cruise missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz. Those weren't the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, or MOP. Those were the smaller, more numerous bunker busters used as a warm-up. The big mops, the 30,000-pound monsters that took out Fordo, are still in inventory, and so is every cruise missile, every Tomahawk, every JASSM that the U.S. didn't fire in round 1. Tehran knows this. Their new Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the man assassinated on day 1 of Epic Fury, knows this. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, knows this. And that is why every move Iran makes in the next 2 weeks is going to look more and more like the actions of a regime that knows the clock is running out. Iran's recent missile and drone attacks on the United Arab Emirates, the partial closure of UAE airspace, the warning from a senior Iranian military official that surprise measures are planned for the enemy beyond their imagination. None of that is the language of a confident regime. That's the language of a regime that's running out of cards to play and is hoping a bluff will buy them another week. And here's where Iran's nightmare truly begins. Now, what does all of this mean for the bigger picture? Because this isn't just about Iran anymore. According to CNN's reporting on the same May 5th briefing, Defense Secretary Hegseth said that under the Trump administration's determination, the ceasefire remains in place, and therefore, Trump does not need to seek congressional approval for the war to continue. Hegseth's exact framing was that the War Department is postured, locked, loaded, and ready to go. Translation: Trump can flip the switch back to full combat at any time with no political break to slow him down, and the entire region is watching this play out in real time. South Korea is now reviewing whether to join Project Freedom and send their Aegis destroyers into the Strait. According to the same CNN reporting, the South Korean Foreign Ministry confirmed they are evaluating the U.S. proposal. Pakistan is mediating. Israel is staging strike packages. The UAE is closing its airspace. The Saudis, the Qataris, the Bahrainis are all watching for the smallest signal from Washington. What this means for the Iranian regime is catastrophic. Their navy is annihilated. Their nuclear program is in ruins. Their supreme leader is dead, and his replacement is hiding in a bunker. Their oil revenue is being choked off ship by ship. Their proxy networks are collapsing. And the only country that will still take their phone call is Pakistan, which is the same country quietly telling them to surrender. Iran's regime has spent 47 years building a system designed to survive every kind of pressure except this one: the pressure of being slowly, quietly, deliberately suffocated while the world watches. And the only question left is how much longer the men in Tehran can hold out before the second wave of Operation Epic Fury becomes Operation Epic Fury 2. So that is the reality the Islamic Republic is waking up to tonight. Operation Epic Fury is over. Project Freedom is paused. The blockade is still tightening, and Trump just handed Tehran a clock with a deal at one end and a bunker buster at the other. If you want to stay on top of every move in this story, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and we will see you on the next one.